There is a specific kind of violence that leaves no bruises. It happens in boardrooms, at family dinners, in group chats, and during casual conversations where someone decides that today, you will be the target. They will say something designed to make you feel small, something that makes the room go quiet, something that puts a spotlight on your inadequacy, your mistake, your difference. And in that moment, your body betrays you, your face gets hot, your throat tightens, your mind races through 1,000 responses, none of them good enough. You feel yourself shrinking while everyone watches. This is not an accident, this is an execution. And if you do not know how to handle it, you will die a social death right there in front of everyone. But what if I told you that the moment someone tries to shame you is actually the moment you have the most power? What if that burning sensation in your chest is not weakness, but fuel? What if there was a way to take their attack and turn it into a demonstration of your superiority so complete, so undeniable, that they never try it again? There is, and it has been used by the most ruthless minds in history. Machiavelli understood it. So did Sun Tzu. So did every leader who ever held power in a world that wanted to tear them down. This is not about being liked. This is about being untouchable. In the next hour, I am going to show you how to weaponize shame against those who try to use it against you. I am going to teach you the psychological warfare tactics that will make you immune to public humiliation. And by the end, you will not fear these moments anymore. You will hunt for them, because you will know that every person who tries to shame you is handing you an opportunity to prove that you operate on a level they cannot even comprehend. Let me be clear about something before we begin. Most people think the way to handle disrespect is to be the bigger person, to take the high road, to let it go. These people spend their entire lives being stepped on by those who understand what they do not. That weakness is blood in the water, that mercy is interpreted as fear. That every time you let someone disrespect you without consequence, you are training them and everyone watching to see you as a target. The Machiavellian mind does not take the high road. The Machiavellian mind takes the winning road. And sometimes, the winning road requires you to destroy someone so thoroughly that they serve as a warning to everyone else. Not with violence, not with anger, but with a kind of cold, calculated psychological precision that makes them wish they had never opened their mouth. This is not cruelty. This is survival. This is how you protect your position in a world where your position is always under attack. So if you came here looking for advice on how to be nice, you are in the wrong place. But if you came here to learn how to never be a victim again, keep watching. We are about to go deep. The first thing you need to understand is why shame works in the first place. Shame is not about truth. It is about tribal positioning. When someone shames you, they are not making an observation. They are making a bid for dominance. They are attempting to lower your status in the eyes of the group so that their status rises by comparison. This is primate behavior. You see it in chimps. You see it in wolves. You see it in every human social structure that has ever existed. The person who can make others look foolish or weak without being punished for it is demonstrating power. They are saying, I can hurt this person and they cannot hurt me back. Watch. And if you react the way your instincts tell you to react, if you get defensive, if you try to explain yourself, if you show anger or hurt, you confirm their dominance. You prove that they got to you. You prove that their words have power over your emotional state. And once the group sees that, your status drops. Not because of what they said about you, but because of how you responded to it. This is the trap. The content of the shame does not matter. Whether their accusation is true or false is irrelevant. What matters is the frame. Did you accept the frame that you are the defendant and they are the judge? If yes, you lost. The game is not about defending your innocence. The game is about refusing to be put on trial in the first place. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are in a meeting and someone says, I notice you have been coming in late a lot. Is everything okay at home? On the surface, this sounds like concern, but listen to what is actually happening. They have just implied that you are unreliable. They have implied that your personal life is a mess. They have done this in front of other people, and they have framed it as care so that if you get angry, you look paranoid. This is a masterclass in covert aggression. Most people would respond by explaining, oh, I have just been dealing with some traffic, or I have been staying late to make up for it. Wrong. The moment you explain, you have accepted the premise that you owe them an explanation. You have accepted that they have the authority to question you. You have stepped into the defendant's box. A Machiavellian response would be completely different. You would pause, you would look at them with a neutral expression, and you would say something like, "Why do you ask?" Or even better, you would say nothing at all. You would hold eye contact for a beat too long, then turn your attention back to the meeting as if they had not spoken. What you have just done is refuse the frame. You have not defended, you have not explained. You have simply declined to participate in the game they were trying to start. And in doing so, you have flipped the script. Now they are the one who looks petty. They are the one who tried to create drama and got nothing back. The room feels the awkwardness, but it is their awkwardness, not yours. This is the foundation of everything that follows. Never accept the frame. Never defend. Never explain unless you choose to, and you choose the terms. The moment you do, you have already won. Now let us talk about the biology of shame, because if you do not control your body, none of this works. When someone attacks you verbally, especially in public, your amygdala lights up like a Christmas tree. This is the part of your brain responsible for detecting threats. And to your amygdala, social threats are just as real as physical ones. In fact, studies show that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Your body does not distinguish between being punched and being humiliated. Both are survival threats. So what happens? Your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets shallow, blood rushes to your face. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, goes offline. You enter fight or flight mode. And this is where most people lose, because in fight or flight, you are not thinking strategically. You are reacting, and reactions are predictable. The person who shamed you knows this. They are counting on it. They want you to stammer. They want you to get red in the face. They want you to lash out or shrink back. Either response confirms that they have power over you. So the first battle is not with them. It is with your own nervous system. You need to train yourself to stay in your prefrontal cortex even when your amygdala is screaming. How do you do this? Through a technique I call the observer shift. The moment you feel that surge of shame, that heat rising, you mentally step outside of yourself. You imagine that you are watching the scene from above. You are no longer the person being attacked. You are a scientist observing an experiment. You note the attacker's body language. You note the reactions of the people around you. You note your own physiological response. But you do not identify with it. This creates distance, and distance creates control. You can practice this right now. Think of the last time someone disrespected you. Feel that feeling. Now imagine you are watching it on a screen. You are watching yourself in that moment. What do you notice? What was the attacker trying to accomplish? What were they afraid of? When you shift into observer mode, something remarkable happens. The emotional charge drains away. You stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a strategist. And strategists do not panic. They calculate. Pair this with a simple breathing technique. When you feel the shame response, do not let your breath become shallow. Instead, breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the antidote to fight or flight. It tells your body, we are not in danger, we are in control. Do this once or twice while holding eye contact with your attacker. They will not even notice you are doing it, but you will feel the shift. Your heart rate will slow, your mind will clear, and suddenly you are not a victim anymore. You are a predator deciding how to respond. This is not something you will master overnight, but if you practice it, if you train yourself to enter observer mode and control your breath the moment you feel attacked, you will develop a kind of emotional armor that most people do not even know exists. And once you have that armor, the rest of the tactics I am about to teach you become devastatingly effective. Let us talk about silence. Real silence. Not the silence of someone who is too scared to speak. The silence of someone who is too powerful to care. Most people are terrified of silence. When there is a gap in conversation, they rush to fill it. They laugh nervously. They make a joke. They say something, anything, to relieve the tension. This is a weakness, and in the hands of a Machiavellian, it is a weapon. When someone shames you, the most powerful response is often no response at all. Not because you do not have a comeback, but because you are making a choice. You are choosing not to dignify their attack with your energy. Here is how you do it. They deliver the insult. You do not react. You do not look away. You do not smile or frown. You simply look at them, not with anger. Anger shows they hurt you, not with sadness. Sadness shows they broke you. You look at them with nothing. A flat, neutral, almost bored expression. You hold this for 3 full seconds. 3 seconds does not sound like a long time, but in the middle of a social confrontation, it is an eternity. During those 3 seconds, something shifts. The attacker expects a reaction. When they do not get one, they start to panic. Did he hear me? Is he going to say something? Why is he just staring at me? The people watching start to feel uncomfortable, but the discomfort is not aimed at you. It is aimed at the attacker. Because you have refused to pick up the emotional burden they tried to hand you, it stays with them. They are now holding a live grenade, and you have just walked away. After 3 seconds, you do one of 2 things. Option 1, you turn your attention to someone else and continue the conversation as if the attacker does not exist. You do not acknowledge them. You do not address what they said. You simply move on. This is called dismissal through indifference, and it is more insulting than any comeback you could deliver, because you have just communicated that their opinion is so irrelevant, so beneath your notice, that it does not even register as something worth responding to. Option 2, you speak, but you do not defend. You say something that reframes the entire interaction. Something like, "That is an interesting thing to say out loud," or "Are you okay?" Or if you are feeling particularly cold, you give a small smile and say, "Okay," and then you move on. Notice what you have done. You have not engaged with the content of their attack. You have commented on the behavior itself. You have made them the subject of analysis. You have flipped the frame. Now the conversation is not about whatever they tried to shame you for. It is about why they felt the need to say something like that. It is about their emotional state, their insecurity, their lack of social awareness. You have turned the microscope on them, and under that microscope they squirm. This is psychological judo. You do not block the attack, you redirect it. You use their own energy against them. And the more aggressive their initial attack, the harder they fall when you redirect it. But here is the key. You have to mean it. If you are secretly hurt and you are just pretending not to care, people will sense it. Your micro-expressions will give you away. The slight tension in your jaw, the way your eyes dart away for a split second, the way your voice gets a little too tight. You cannot fake indifference. You have to cultivate real indifference. And that brings us to the deeper work. The reason most people cannot pull off these techniques is because deep down, they still care what other people think. They still need validation. They still define their worth by external approval. And as long as that is true, they are vulnerable. Someone else holds the keys to their self-esteem. This is the fatal flaw. If you want to be immune to shame, you have to kill the part of you that seeks approval from people who have not earned the right to judge you. Notice I said people who have not earned the right. There are people in your life whose opinions should matter, people who know you deeply, people who have proven their loyalty and wisdom, people who want the best for you. Their feedback is valuable, but the random colleague who makes a snide comment in a meeting, the acquaintance who tries to embarrass you at a party, the internet stranger who leaves, a nasty comment, these people do not know you. They do not know your history, your struggles, your victories. They have no context. And yet, if you let their words hurt you, you are giving them power they did not earn. You are letting them audit your value based on incomplete information and malicious intent. Why would you do that? Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn to be feared rather than loved if he cannot be both. But more importantly, he must not be dependent on the goodwill of others for his security. The moment your sense of self is dependent on how others see you, you are at their mercy. You are a puppet, and they are pulling the strings. To cut those strings, you need to do what I call the inventory exercise. Sit down with a piece of paper. Write down everything you are ashamed of, everything you hope no one ever finds out, everything you think makes you unworthy. Your failures, your flaws, your secrets, be brutally honest. No one else will see this. Once you have your list, read it. Look at each item and ask yourself, is this actually shameful, or have I just been taught to feel ashamed of it? Is this a moral failing, or is it just a human imperfection? Is this something I can change, or is it something I need to accept? You will find that most of the things you are ashamed of fall into one of 3 categories. Things that are not actually wrong, just different. Things that were mistakes you have learned from. Things that are part of being human and everyone deals with. Once you see this, once you accept your own flaws and mistakes as part of your story rather than disqualifications from your worth, something shifts. You stop being afraid of exposure, because there is nothing left to expose. You have already looked at the worst parts of yourself and decided they do not define you. And when you reach that point, you become untouchable. Because the shamer's only weapon is making you feel bad about something you are hiding. If you are not hiding anything, If you have made peace with who you are, they have no ammunition. They can say whatever they want. It bounces off. This does not mean you go around announcing your flaws. Discretion is still a virtue. But internally, you are no longer carrying shame. And that internal shift changes everything about how you show up in the world. You walk differently. You speak differently. You make eye contact differently. People sense it. They sense that you are not someone they can manipulate with social pressure, and most of them will not even try. But for those who do, you are ready. Now let us get tactical. I am going to give you specific verbal responses you can use in different shaming scenarios. These are not scripts to memorize word for word. They are frameworks. You adapt them to your style and the situation, but the underlying psychology is what matters. Scenario 1. Someone insults you in front of a group. They say something like, "Wow, that is a terrible idea," or "Did you really just say that?" Most people would either get defensive or try to laugh it off. Both are weak responses. Instead, you pause, you look at them calmly, and you say, "What are you trying to accomplish right now?" This is a power move. You are not addressing the insult, you are addressing their motive. You are forcing them to explain themselves, and most people cannot. They will stammer. They will say, "I am just being honest," or "I am just joking." To which you respond, "Okay," and then you move on. You have made them look like the aggressor. You have made them look socially unaware, and you did it without raising your voice or showing emotion. Scenario 2. Someone brings up a past mistake to embarrass you. They say, "Remember when you completely failed at that project?" Everyone remembers. Do not deny it. Do not minimize it. Own it with confidence. You say, "I do remember. I learned a lot from that. What about it?" Or if you want to be more cutting, you say, "Yeah, that was years ago. Are you still thinking about it?" You have just flipped the frame. Now they look like the person who is stuck in the past. They look petty. You look like someone who has moved on and grown. Scenario 3. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment disguised as concern. They say something like, "I am just worried about you. You have not been yourself lately." This is covert aggression. They are implying something is wrong with you while pretending to care. Do not fall for it. You say, "I appreciate your concern, but I am fine." And then you change the subject. If they push, you say, "If I need help, I will ask for it." You have just set a boundary without being rude. You have communicated that you see through their game and you are not playing. Scenario 4. Someone tries to shame you for something you are actually insecure about. Maybe your income, your appearance, your relationship status. This is the hardest one because it hits a real wound, but this is where the earlier work pays off. If you have already made peace with that insecurity, their comment has no power. You say, "Yeah, that is true," or you say, "I am working on it." What is your point? You have just taken the weapon out of their hand. You have agreed with the fact but refused to accept the shame. And when you do that, they have nowhere to go. They expected you to get defensive. When you do not, they look like the bully who just punched air. In all of these scenarios, notice the pattern. You do not defend, you do not explain. You either ignore, reframe, or agree without shame. You stay calm, you stay in control, and you make them explain themselves. This is how you win. Let me tell you about a concept called the gray rock method. It comes from dealing with narcissists, but it applies to anyone who feeds on your emotional reactions. The idea is simple. You become boring, you become uninteresting, you give them nothing to work with. When they try to provoke you, you respond with bland, neutral statements. They insult you, you say okay. They try to start an argument, you say if you say so. They try to get a rise out of you, you say I hear you. You are not being sarcastic, you are not being passive-aggressive, you are genuinely uninterested, you are a gray rock, unremarkable, unresponsive, not worth the effort. This drives certain people insane because they need your reaction. They need your anger or your hurt or your fear. That is what feeds them. When you deny them that, they lose interest and move on to easier targets. But there is a more advanced version of this that I call the mirror technique. Instead of becoming boring, you mirror their energy back to them in a way that makes them uncomfortable. They are aggressive. You become calmly assertive. They are loud. You become quiet. They are emotional. You become analytical. You do not match their energy. You reflect it in a way that highlights how out of control they are. For example, if someone is yelling at you, you lower your voice. You speak slowly and calmly. This creates a contrast that makes them look unhinged. Everyone watching sees the difference. You look like the adult. They look like the child throwing a tantrum. If someone is being sarcastic and snide, you respond with complete sincerity. You take their sarcasm at face value and respond as if they meant it genuinely. This disarms them. Sarcasm only works if the other person acknowledges it. If you refuse to, they look like they are trying too hard. The mirror technique requires emotional intelligence. You have to read the room and the person, but when done correctly, it is devastating, because you are using their own behavior against them. You are making them the problem without ever saying they are the problem. The room figures it out on its own. Let us talk about the long game, because sometimes the best response to someone who shames you is not immediate. Sometimes the best response is strategic patience. You let it go in the moment, you do not react, you file it away. And then, when the time is right, when they are vulnerable, when they need something from you, you remind them. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with a quiet withdrawal of your support. They ask you for a favor. You say, "I am not sure I am the right person for that." They ask for your opinion. You say, "I would rather not say." They try to include you in something. You politely decline. You are not being overtly hostile. You are just no longer available to them. And if they ask why, you say, "I just think it is better this way." You do not explain. You do not bring up the past incident. You just let them sit with the consequences of having burned a bridge. This is Machiavellian patience. You do not need to destroy someone in the moment. Sometimes, the most powerful move is to let them destroy themselves by losing access to you. People do not value what they have until it is gone. When you withdraw your respect, your time, your energy, they feel it, and it eats at them, because they know why even if you never say it. This is how you play the long game. You do not get mad, you do not get even, you just get distant. And distance is its own kind of punishment. Here is something most people do not understand. Shame is a group activity. It requires an audience. The shamer is performing for others. They want the group to validate their attack by laughing, agreeing, or at least staying silent. If you can turn the group against the shamer, you win completely. How do you do this? By making the shamer violate group norms. Every social group has unspoken rules. Do not be too aggressive. Do not punch down. Do not make things awkward. When someone shames you, they are often walking a fine line. If you can make them cross that line, the group will turn on them. Here is how: when they attack you, you do not defend yourself. Instead, you look uncomfortable on their behalf. You wince slightly. You glance at others in the group as if to say, "Is he really doing this?" You create a shared moment of second-hand embarrassment. You make the group feel awkward for the shamer, not for you. You can even verbalize it. You say, "This is uncomfortable," or "I do not think this is the time or place for this." You are not saying they are wrong. You are saying they are being socially inappropriate. And groups punish social inappropriateness more harshly than they punish being wrong. The group will often step in at this point. Someone will change the subject. Someone will tell the shamer to relax. Someone will side with you, not because they necessarily like you, but because the shamer made them uncomfortable. You have successfully turned the audience against the performer. And once that happens, the shamer loses all power. They have been socially exiled not by you but by the group. This is advanced social chess. You are not fighting the shamer directly. You are manipulating the environment so that the environment fights them for you. Let me give you a final principle that ties all of this together. The principle of outcome independence. Outcome independence means you are not attached to how the interaction ends. You are not trying to win their approval. You are not trying to make them like you. You are not even trying to make them respect you. You are simply responding in a way that maintains your own self-respect. And whatever happens after that is irrelevant. This is the ultimate freedom. When you are outcome independent, you cannot be manipulated. Because manipulation works by making you afraid of a certain outcome, afraid they will not like you, afraid they will not respect you, afraid they will tell others, afraid you will lose status. But if you genuinely do not care about those outcomes, if you are willing to let the chips fall where they may, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people are dangerous. They cannot be controlled. Most people go through life terrified of social consequences. They will tolerate disrespect, betrayal, and humiliation because they are afraid of what will happen if they stand up for themselves. They are afraid of conflict, afraid of being disliked, afraid of being alone. The Machiavellian mind understands that these fears are chains, and the moment you break them, you become more powerful than everyone around you who is still bound. This does not mean you go around burning bridges for fun. It means you are willing to burn a bridge if that is what self-respect requires. And when people sense that about you, when they sense that you are not afraid of the consequences of standing up for yourself, they treat you differently. They test you less, they respect you more, Not because you are aggressive, but because you are solid. You are unmovable. You are someone who knows their worth and does not negotiate it. This is the energy you want to cultivate. The energy of someone who is perfectly comfortable walking away from any situation that does not serve them. Someone who would rather be alone than disrespected. Someone who does not need anyone's permission to exist. When you have that energy, people feel it. And the ones who were thinking about testing you, about trying to shame you, about trying to make you small, they think twice. Because they can see that you are not an easy target. You are not someone who will fold under pressure. You are someone who will make them regret it. And most people, when given the choice between an easy target and a hard one, will choose easy. So just by being hard, by being someone who clearly will not tolerate disrespect, you avoid most of these situations entirely. The mere fact that you are capable of handling shame makes it less likely that anyone will try to shame you. This is the paradox of power. The more dangerous you are, the less you have to prove it. So let me bring this all together. You now understand that shame is not about truth. It is about dominance. You understand that the moment you defend yourself, you lose. You understand that silence, reframing, and outcome independence are your primary weapons. You understand that the real battle is internal. That you must make peace with your own flaws so that no one can use them against you. You understand that the group is the real audience and that turning the group against the shamer is the ultimate victory. And you understand that all of this is not about being cruel. It is about being free. Free from the opinions of people who do not matter. Free from the need to explain yourself. Free from the fear of judgment. This is what it means to think like Machiavelli. Not to be evil, but to be strategic. Not to hurt others, but to protect yourself. Not to dominate everyone, but to ensure that no one dominates you. The world is full of people who will try to make you small so they can feel big. People who will use shame as a weapon because they have nothing else. And if you let them, they will take everything from you. Your confidence, your peace, your power. But now you know better. Now you know that every time someone tries to shame you, they are actually handing you an opportunity. An opportunity to demonstrate that you are not like everyone else, that you do not play by the same rules, that you operate on a different level. So the next time you feel that heat rising in your chest, the next time someone tries to put you on trial in front of others, remember this: you are not the defendant. You are not even the judge. You are the one who decides whether the court is even in session. And most of the time, the correct decision is to walk out and let them shout at an empty room. That is power. That is freedom. That is the Machiavellian way. Welcome to the order. You are no longer a victim. You are a strategist, and the game has just begun.